It's a huge one.
It's like sometimes you remember that scene before Forrest Gump where he gets through running, he's just like, I'm tired. That's what I feel like. It's like I just want to go home. But I can't. I really can't. It's really good. I'll be all right.
Stand right there. Sit down first. Want to rush it?
Thank you for the picture.
Oh, you're very welcome. You took anything to say?
You know, brother. You will. Have a good vacation. You going all right?
Yeah, I just thought I'd say the same thing. Having a good day?
Yeah. Where was it? Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Get out there in the water and. Don't care.
Good afternoon. We're going to get started for our commission meeting today at 4 o'clock, May 14th. As you know, Mayor is on the phone, so we're going to go on and open up with invocation and then Pledge of Allegiance. And I've asked Mr. Leon Miller to give us the prayer.
May we pray. Our Father, our God, again, we come to say thanks for all the blessings that you have stored upon us this month, oh Heavenly Father. Oh Heavenly Father, we ask you continue to guide us through this struggle with Michael, oh Heavenly Father. Oh Heavenly Father, we ask you to touch our hearts that we come more and more together, oh Heavenly Father. And that this city commission, oh Heavenly Father, begin to work and blend things together for this community, oh Heavenly Father. Oh Heavenly Father, again, we say thanks for all the wonderful blessings that you have stored upon us. In thy name, for Christ's sake, ever. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As I stated earlier, Mayor is on the phone, and we're going to ask for the mayor's report.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gaynor, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to, first of all, give a very brief mayor's report and then just a couple of other items before turning the meeting over to you all. On May the 4th, I participated in the First Baptist Church and several other churches who linked with them to put on a beautiful event in Sheffield Park. They served, I believe, 1,200 meals, 1,600 snow cones. They had bouncy houses. They did so many wonderful things for the children and the people of Lynn Haven, so I just wanted to congratulate them. On May 10th, I participated in the News Herald storytelling event in which several people in our community told their stories of Hurricane Michael and their experiences on the day of the storm and after. And this event was publicized all across the nation to all of the News Herald partner newspapers and on their website. So hopefully that will help to get our story out. I participated in a FEMA meeting on May the 3rd with city staff and attorney and our Tetra Tech, and it was a very productive meeting. We had several things brought to light that we'll talk about when I come back, and you may want to talk about today. But at this point, I had two items that I wanted to bring up. The first one is that we need to appoint a mayor pro tem. I believe I'm accurate in saying I only missed 3 meetings in my four years as mayor. But there is a time when a mayor is absent or on vacation, and so we need to appoint a mayor pro tem. This circulates every year, and generally it is the commissioner who's next in line who serves the longest. So I'm not telling you who you should nominate, but in the order of things, Judy Tender has served the longest at this point because of the fact there was a runoff between Dan Russell and his opponent. But you're certainly not held to that. The attorney can address that, but there's nothing that says you have to go with that, but I just wanted to suggest that. And because later in the meeting, we'll also be appointing a TPO representative to take care of Rodney Friend's position. So that's what we need to do next. And so at this point in time, I would entertain a motion for who would serve as mayor pro tem until the next regularly scheduled Lynn Haven municipal election. Is there a motion?
Well, I'd actually like to make a motion going towards Dan Russell as mayor pro tem.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, if I may, Ms. Tender, are you interested in the position?
Yes.
Is this a question?
Okay. Is there any other question or discussion from the board?
Mayor,
Okay, go ahead.
this is
Go ahead,
Commissioner Aldridge. I'm sorry. Would
Sure.
would it not be better to do a continuance on this until we have the entire board here, or would you rather just go with the?
Well, I am technically present. I'm about to ask for a motion to excuse my absence and allow me to participate by phone.
Okay,
So we do have a full board present.
Gotcha.
It is allowable to participate by phone.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
But thank you. Is there any other discussion from the board? Is there any discussion from the public? Would anyone from the public like to speak?
Yes. Mayor, Mr.
Ms.
Walker.
We have Mr. Walker, Mayor.
Gaynor, could you please, if Ms. Gaynor could recognize the public, please, at this point.
Mr. Walker.
Good afternoon, Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. This is the first time in 17 years that I've ever heard it done this way. It's always been by you delegating and choosing the next senior in line. That's always the way it's been done. All of a sudden, today, we don't have that. Nor do we have a formal opening of this meeting by an elected official as the chair. That I've never seen done before. I understand where the mayor's coming from, that the attorney can give us an opinion on this, but all I want to tell you is this has never been done this way before.
Mayor, May I please respond, Mayor?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Walker. At this point in time, I would like to recognize our city attorney. City attorney, would you like to address, or are we okay at this point?
Mayor, as it pertains to opening a meeting, the chart or the code of ordinance and charter is clear that as long as there's a physical quorum present, that an individual who is absent can participate via telephone or electronic communication, and their vote counts just the same as if they were physically present. Based off my observation, we have 4 out of 5, which would constitute a quorum, which would allow the individual, in this case you, to appear by telephone, and your vote would count just the same. So technically, you're not absent at this point in time, Mayor.
Thank you. I would ask at this time if there's any other public comments.
Mayor, this is Commissioner Russell. If you don't mind, I'd like to have a comment.
I was asked, Commissioner Russell, excuse me, but I was asking for public comment because I had already asked for board comment. So if we could finish with that, and then I'll come back and recognize you if that's okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Ms. Harris.
Arlene Harrison, 904 Michigan Avenue. As a member of the public, I would like the Mayor Pro Tem to be someone who is familiar with the board procedures, and I would also like it to be Judy Tender.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Mayor, there seems to be none.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Russell, you had a comment now, please?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I'd like to correct Mr. Walker. The position that's being replaced is Rodney Friends. He was not the senior member on the board. Antonis Barnes was, just for the record.
And that is correct, Mr. Russell, or excuse me, Commissioner Russell. However, Antonius Barnes had served as the Mayor Pro Tem, and so it rotated to Commissioner Rodney Friend at that point. But again, I don't believe there's, and the city attorney can correct me, I do not believe that there is anything in the charter about seniority. I was just pointing out that if you wanted a basis of seniority, that Commissioner Tender had held the office longer. That was the only point I made. I was not trying to sway anyone, just making a statement of fact. So, is there any other discussion from the board? At this point in time, then I would call for a vote. Commissioner Commissioner Aldridge has made a motion that Commissioner Russell would serve as the Mayor Pro Tem, and I believe Commissioner Perno has seconded that motion. And so at this time, I would call for a vote. Ms. Gaynor, if you would call the roll.
Mayor, if I could interject, this is Commissioner Aldridge. When we made the motion,
Excuse me, Commissioner Aldridge, but I've already called for the vote at this point because I'd asked for discussion earlier, so this will be inappropriate for you to interject at this point.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Gaynor, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
No.
Mayor Anderson.
No. And so the motion would pass by a majority of 3 votes, and Commissioner Russell will be your Mayor Pro Tem. So at this point, I would pass the gavel through the airwaves to Commissioner Russell. And Commissioner Russell, I would also ask at this point if you would ask for a motion to excuse my absence as I'm on vacation this week and then proceed with the meeting. Thank you so much.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion with the commission? Any discussion from the public? Ms. Gaynor, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. So the motion carries. So I need some clarification here. Mayor, you passed the gavel to me and now I'm running the meeting, is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Russell. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next step would be the commissioner reports. Let's start with Commissioner Tenney.
Okay, thank you. I've had a number of different issues that I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. Residential things, Colorado Avenue, I've been over there a couple times, and met with the acting city manager, and she has certainly clarified a lot of things for me, which I have to say I'm thoroughly enjoying meeting with her before these meetings and getting a little bit of background. One of the things that I'm very concerned about is after Mrs. Walker spoke 2 meetings ago regarding the property at Florida and 13th. It is a gravel pit, trees, sod, sand, and things of this nature. It is surrounded by all 3 sides by residential homes, and then 390, which is going to be 6-lane right there. One of the concerns I have, and it kind of set a red light off for me, is the fact that they have signs all over that property that says they're coming soon. Now, I have to ask myself, why do they have signs saying coming soon when this commission has to vote on whether or not they can even be located there? So that's kind of a concern to me. The first thing that I ask myself is, did somebody tell them there was no problem, they could open this up there? Or I don't know why, but I do question that. I would not want to live there. I went by all the homes, and there are 3 homes facing it, dump trucks and everything. I don't have to say all that because Mrs. Walker certainly covered it well a few weeks ago. But I'm very concerned about that piece of property, and when they come before this commission and ask permission to have that. I'm concerned that it's going to be an eyesore coming in and through our city. And like so many cities that widen, like we're doing on 390, or you come into a bigger city even, and it just gets, it loses all of its charm. And you wonder when you go into a big city where, this couldn't be the city as they're passing through to get to the beach or whatever. I hate to see us start industrializing that whole area, but nonetheless, I was very concerned about that because I spent quite a bit of time over there. I had another issue with Mr. Robitaille, and the city manager has helped with that and got it corrected. It's my understanding that I see a gentleman here from Colorado Avenue. That project, I have gone by. There are legitimate reasons why that has not started. There was a piece or a part, and the city manager can explain that if you want an explanation on why that has not started at this point. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Well, as you guys know, since the last meeting, there's been a lot going on in my world. So I've been trying to get up to speed with everything that's going on with the city of Lynn Haven. I've met with Miss Vicki here multiple times to try to catch up. She's working with me to try to get me up to speed. I've met with all the department heads. And I would like to say, to the citizens of Lynn Haven, the employees that you guys all know, top notch. I mean, we have a top notch group of people that work here at the city of Lynn Haven. Also met with Tetra Tech and the city engineers to try to get caught up on where we are with FEMA reimbursements. That's one of my biggest deals, is how to get money in for our city, to help us during the recovery project. That's something I think about every single day. So a couple weeks ago, I was actually riding down the road and saw those Samaritan's Purse buses, and I started thinking, well, what happened with Samaritan Purse hours, for Lynn Haven? They've been in every area of Bay County. So I worked with our friends over at the county, over at Bay County. They did a great job helping us out, and come to find out, Samaritan's Purse had around 9,600 of our hours that had not been put into the system yet. So I said, well, are all of those hours accounted for on the proper forms and all the proper paperwork and all the proper documentation? And she said, yes, Commissioner Aldridge, they're all ready to go, and we have more coming in the next couple of weeks. She said, but if you go by the average of $20 an hour, which is the national average on disaster reimbursement for volunteer hours, we're looking at about $192,000 that that I found 2 weeks ago to try to help us with cost share when that time arises. So it's about cash flow. Again, I'm a businessman, cash flow, money coming in, money going out, right? If it's not breathing, it's not living. So money's coming into the city, money's going out of the city. But I want you to know that from a commissioner standpoint, we're working hard. We're rubbing every nickel, okay, to make sure that we can keep this city going like it should be going. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Perna?
I too met with our city manager. Also met with all department heads, and I've had several citizens come up and talk to me. I'm glad I'm on board with what we're doing. In meeting with all the department heads, I've realized that some of our guys are short manpower. Some of them borrow manpower from other guys. I mean, it's a dynamic group of people that we have running the city, and I was nothing but impressed with everybody I met. People who work in the library are working in utilities, and you guys are all over the place and doing a great job. And knowing that just below where Miss Vicky her office is tiny in a hardwood floor, and watching her work. When the day I was there, she happened to be with someone from Tetra Tech, and they were pushing the button on moving the FEMA money our way, and I actually got to see the wheels in progress, and it was quite impressive. And as I met with each department head and know what they're going through personally and what they're doing for our city, I was overwhelmed. Just to know that Ricky his department was just below the city manager I guess in a room. I know they're going to be moving to the temporaries, but to know that our police department was running out of a small conference room was something to behold, I'll tell you. So my hat's off to everybody and what we're dealing with. It's eye-opening if you ever wanted to come and see what they're doing. So Miss Vicky, our acting city manager, is still wearing two hats, and that took me kind of by surprise. And she said she was glad that the police department was below her because she's not leaving work till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. She's very dedicated, and if we can do anything to help get someone to wear one of her hats, as city clerk and city manager, that would behoove us greatly for her to excel in other areas. I spoke to several citizens about things that are going on in the city, and I did notice around 10th Street and around by the American Freight, we still have wires hanging off of our poles that are actually still running, dead wires, and they're hanging low and detrimental to vehicles. So I don't know where that falls. And the citizen who was concerned with me said, because the cable company's not gonna own up the phone company or whoever's wires they are. They're dead wires, but something needs to be done because nighttime it's going to be a hazard for somebody. So I also attended the school advisory meeting just prior to this meeting for Lynn Haven Elementary School, and I'd just like to say that our principal John Cannon is doing a great job, and the school will probably be a Title I school next year. The funding for Title I is probably going to come through, and the school last year was a C school, and it's probably going to end up being an A school. And we're pretty confident. It's amazing to see what's going on around this campus right now for the kids that age. So I'm impressed with what's going on in this elementary school. So I just wanted to say that, and again say thank you to all the citizens for being here, and I'm going to work hard for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I too have had several meetings with Vicki and Acting City Manager Gaynor and our City Attorney Albritton, dealing with several issues, trying to resolve some questions I've had. Also followed up on the 17th Street, Mr. Miller, just so you know, I'm still following up on that, trying to make sure it's going to happen. As well as the 9th Street issue we've got with parking, or with the cars there too. Let's see what else I have to deal with. Still trying to figure out when we're going to pave 4th Street. That unfortunately is still a dirt road, and I'm still kind of confused how that managed to happen. The asphalt was ripped out, and it hasn't been paved since. So I will keep on that one because I've got citizens calling complaining about it. So also want to thank the permitting and zoning departments. There's some questions I've had about zoning and also permitting issues that people are still having problems with, unfortunately. Mr. Jenke, unfortunately, he's on vacation, but I want to thank him for getting started with the code enforcement. And just so you'll know, the first meeting is the 16th. We've got 6 properties that are going in front of the magistrate on the 16th. I plan on being there. The way I feel it, this commission is the one that's pushing the issue, so the employees shouldn't take the brunt of the problems. If somebody's got somebody don't want to gripe at, they need to gripe at us. So I intend to be at that meeting so they can gripe at me. And then the last thing I've got, I had a meeting with the acting city manager about rebuilding, and I like the idea of the design build partnership that we're talking about with RFQs, but I have concerns with timing for the senior center and our ballparks. I'm afraid if we do an RFQ with a design build, that it's going to take too long, and we're not going to get the senior center up when we need it up, and we're not going to get the ball fields up for the kids to play, spring baseball. So I'd like the city manager, or I'd like the commission to consider looking at maybe doing a conventional design bid build, the old-fashioned way, because I believe it can be done faster. It would still go out for bidding process. We'd still ask for, but I think that we pull those out and we can get the senior center done for the seniors, and we can get the ball fields done for the young people. And the rest of it will come, as time permits. So that's all I've got for my report. So let's see where we move on. And you'll have to forgive me. This is my first meeting to run, so if I mess up, I apologize. Let's see where we're at now. It's the acting city manager report.
Thank you. First of all, let me say that we just had a happy birthday to Mr. Miller. His birthday was the 12th. And I wanted to say happy birthday to you, Mr. Miller. It's late, but we still want to recognize you. 86. Secondly, another good thing is we want to recognize our employee of the month. I'm going to ask Amanda Richard if she will come up and talk about our employee of the month.
I'm not going to use the microphone, so I hope you can all hear me. Can you all hear me? Yeah. So, Eric, would you like to come up here, please, and join me? Eric Bentley. Gotcha. So, this is Eric Bentley. Eric is a code enforcement officer, and he joined the City of Lynnhaven as code enforcement officer in May of 2018. He came with a wealth of experience from being a code enforcement officer in Panama City for a number of years. So he was able to jump right in and is extremely proactive. He's a very willing employee and has always has the most patient attitude with whomever he is assisting. He's a very, very, very sweet person. Eric is not an office person, but prefers to be out on the road and is extremely diligent. After the storm, he was a very valuable asset in assisting the planning and permitting department when we were located at the end of the senior centre in the temporary accommodations. We had lines of out-of-town tree guys out the door. I don't know if you all remember that. And he helped us with that. He was also very willing to pick up their signs from the side of the road. Remember when we were inundated with all those little snipe signs? And also to stop and check to make sure that people who were working on houses had the proper credentials. So, to be honest, we would not have managed without him in those first few weeks after the hurricane. He went above and beyond his duties as code enforcement officer. He was selfless. And so this is to recognise the service that he has given to the city and also to the citizens. Thank
Okay. Just my report is, of course, you can hear that I've met with many of the commissioners and attorney on various issues. We had an orientation for the two new commissioners that I thought went very, very well. They learned a lot. We put together some books that were helpful in terms of information for the city after they leave here. Attended ethics training. We had some really great meetings with FEMA. One of those, the main topic when we meet with FEMA is about reimbursements and projects. And so one of the things that we talk about is where we are, what is needed to move these projects forward. So, you know, the reimbursement that we got at 100% and 50% of that came first. That was a $9.9 million reimbursement that we sent forward. 50% of that came. So now we are at the end of the road. It's in the Office of Legislative Affairs. And after that, that 4.9 will be obligated to us. And after it's obligated, it should be very quickly that will come to us. Once that 4.9 is obligated, then the second part of that comes to us, which is the second part of the 4.9. And it will go through that process as well. So we have at some point $9.9 million coming in. Secondly, we have the category. We have another category that we will submit, Category A, but that's non-expedited. That is $8.1 million that will go through FEMA. I pushed that button, and now it is sitting at the resource center. And that usually sits in the resource center anywhere from 21 to 180 days because it is non-expedited. But that is a pretty easy one for the simple reason all of those are haulers. That was debris that was removed. And so with that said, it should, once they look at all of the documentation, yes, debris was and has and continues to be moved out of this city, then it will go through like it would normally do. Also, we received today our Triumph check. That was for $386,000. And so we are very, very happy that that came through. We sent out for reimbursement for $596,815 for the 17th Street ditch drainage. So that money is coming through, and that will be reimbursed at 100%. It's $1 million project. That money will be reimbursed at 100%. I met with our auditors because one of the things with our auditing right now is that we have several things in our bucket of monies that we want to be able to apply for. And one of them is community disaster loan. With those we need our audit information in order to apply for this, and some other documents that we'll need, but particularly we need the audit. And so that community disaster loan is $5 million that we will be able to get once we have that audit in place. So I met with them about when we will be getting that audit so we can push those kinds of things forward. I had a wonderful time meeting with the Harris Society. They're a great group of people, and thank you for inviting me. We've been working on mid-year budget, and hopefully we'll have that to you at our next meeting. We had our pinning of our chief on May 10th. We are now in the process of trying to finish up putting our temp buildings together so that both our PD and our administrative folks can move. We're probably looking at the end of this month before we will move into those buildings, but we're really, really excited because, as you've heard the commissioners say, we are sitting on top of each other, literally, but we are getting the work done for the city, and that is what really matters to the most. One of the things that we are doing too is I've sent out tasked one of our engineering firms to go and put together the RFQ for both the customer service center and the senior center. Those two buildings need roofs on them right now. We want to preserve them. We feel like that once those roofs are put on, that we can utilize definitely the senior center, go on and put that back together where it needs to be so we can utilize it even maybe for some meeting space in the very, very near future. So seniors, we are thinking about you putting that roof on and then going inside and trying to make some changes and renovations. And then the customer service centers where you pay your water bill to put a roof on that because we want to preserve that building as well. So we have lots of things going on. The design bill is out. One of our other city engineers that's putting that together, and that design bill will cover a lot of city complexes, sports complexes, because we want it to look good when we start to rebuild. And so I think that's about all right now. I would ask, because I think Commissioner Tender said that there are some people here from Colorado Avenue. I want you to know where we are in the process. So I'm going to ask Bobby to come up. Bobby Baker is our Public Works Director. Come up and talk about where we are with the Colorado Avenue project.
Baker, Public Works Director. Are we talking about Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay. You'll actually see pipe showing up at the job end of this week, first of next week. So the contractor did get the pipe ordered. He's going to have some delivered. So it's going to get started fairly quick. That was one of the delays, was getting the materials here. So. Mm-hmm. And part of the other project is actually on 8th Street. Even though it's for the Mississippi project, you'll see them on 8th Street cutting that weir down. So they're going to do that first to help alleviate the water off of them. So they should be getting started next week.
Thank you, Bobby. Right. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Gaynor. City Attorney's report?
No report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Albritton. And it's time for public commentary. Ms. Tennell.
Tennell. I live at 711C Florida Avenue. Thank the Lord, told me to move out of my big house. We had sold it, hadn't signed final papers until 2 weeks after the hurricane, so that fell through. So my oldest son is fighting the insurance people like so many people are. But I am the oldest Lynn Haven native. I was born here, and I'm 88 years old. And I fight with you guys if you don't do it right. They know that. But I want to thank Mrs. Gaynor. She is such a lovely lady. She came to our meeting at the Heritage Society, and she told us a lot what was going on. And I told her about the trees that had fallen that the city had planted about 2 years ago. They were all leaning on Florida Avenue and some of the side streets. And on Monday, this was on Thursday night, and on Monday they were out there straightening them up. So she gets things done, and I sure hope she ends up being our city manager.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Walker?
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. I might ask for about 10 more seconds on my 3 minutes, if I could, please indulge with me. The Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida were amended with the Bill of Rights. Both First Amendments read in part the same, and I quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress or grievances. In addition, and more to home, the preamble of the Florida Constitution is, quote, equal civil and political rights to all. The operative word here is all. Also in Florida preamble is the term grateful to Almighty God for our constitutional liberty. The City of Glen Haven Charter allows the elected chairperson of public meetings to be the one who sets the rules for the meeting. I have been present at numerous meetings in Glen Haven where the liberties guaranteed by the two constitutions have been, in my eyes, severely curtailed. The latest was when an American citizen was asked not to speak because he was not a citizen of this municipality. This caused a learned citizen who was next to speak to stand up and say, "To you, I am an American." He didn't say where he was from. He said he was American to make a point. The latest, as I said, was the American citizen who was asked not to speak. I cannot find anywhere in the two constitutions forbidding of a citizen or even a non-citizen of the United States from speaking in a public meeting when recognized by the elected chair. Nor have I found in our charter the same. The charter does not give the chair the right to govern the meeting. I go back. The charter does give the right for the chair to govern the meeting and to keep it in order and proper decorum. We as Americans and non-Americans have fought hard for and to preserve our basic rights as human beings of being an American. This right has been extended to visitors who are obligated to obey our laws. However, our commission seems to forget that they must obey our laws but don't have the right to petition or speak at that governing body about issues that affect them. My question to the commissioners, and I'm addressing all of you. I know that's a faux pas. I'm not allowed to do that, but I'm going to address all of you. If you ascend ever to the throne, and you possibly will, as a chair of our public commission meetings, will you adopt your own Bill of Rights, or follow the words, or should you follow the words of our God and the laws of our country and state, which were set by our forefathers? I don't have to remind all. Federal law trumps, this is not a pun, Florida law. However, they are usually one and the same, especially concerning our Bill of Rights. Both trump our charter. Both the Constitution and the federal law trump the charter. These are the words of our city attorney. Don't forget, the Florida preamble of our Florida Constitution. We are grateful to our Almighty God for our constitutional liberty. I repeat the question. If you ever, and you will, sit there as a chairperson, as you are tonight, will you deny a citizen of the United States of America the right to speak? And that is my question.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. To answer your question, no, I would not. But I can't answer what the rest of the commission says. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. That's a very good answer.
Mr. Miller.
Excuse me, back here.
Yes, sir. Feel free.
Now, I got 3 questions. On the 16th, where is that meeting going to be held?
It's at the Public Works Building, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right.
No, I'm sorry, Utilities Building.
Utility bill?
Yes.
Okay. I sit on the TPO council, and I think that was some mention the last month about 390 from 77 to 231. Did you get any information on that with the city?
No, I have not received any.
Okay, because I think they mentioned there was some money appropriated for that, but I'm not for sure.
Well, hopefully we're going to appoint a new TPO representative here shortly, and we can get to the bottom of it.
I know we have a lot of work to do in the city, but what is the deadline been set on the park opening, for the kids, for school to be out after a while?
Yes, which one are you referring to? You're talking about King Griffin? Yes, we are working on that, and our goal is to have that open in probably the middle of June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anybody else? Okay, that concludes the public commentary section. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am, please.
I'll just stop here because I think I can help out. My name is Carolyn Prince. I'm the owner of Red Horse Barber Shop and Tattoo Studio. My shop is actually in Bay County right now. As you know, we are dealing with aftermath of the hurricane. We had just moved to our new location off of Transmitter Road up on the 231 a month prior to the hurricane. And we sustained damage at our new location. And we have been actively looking for another place to put our barber shop. Lynn Haven has an ordinance to not allow any a tattoo studio. We are not like an original tattoo studio that you would see out on Panama City Beach. Our first, when we walk in, it is strictly the barber shop. The studios are private, and we don't accept walk-ins. We came to Lynn Haven looking for other property, and we found out that this was an old ordinance, just as well as Panama City has it also. We have several clients that come into our shop to get a haircut that don't even know that we have the tattoo portion in the back. But after speaking with them, we have gotten a good success on getting people to say that they would allow, they would be up for us to come to Lynn Haven. What would be my route to try to get some of those ordinances changed if we can find a spot? Because as you know, they're hard to find right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been in business since 2011 and would like to continue it. I grew up in Lynn Haven on Alabama Avenue, lived here all my life. I don't live here now, I live in Via George. But I feel like we have a good business to bring here. I know that there's a side to it that a lot of people frown on. But I'm definitely willing and open for a conversation. I would love for people to see our shop, to see what we have to offer. And I think that it would be great because right now, on an average, we have approximately 50. That would be the lowest amount of vehicles coming and going from our shop every day. And those are mainly barbershop clients. The majority of our tattoo clients come in the evening time at 5:30, 6 o'clock. We're usually done at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. We're not night owls. Occasionally we have somebody, there that stays later. But the amount of business that we would be able to bring in to offer some other businesses, our clientele, for food places, bringing in that amount of people every day, I would hope that it would be some type of benefit to Lynn Haven. I'm open for suggestion on maybe how we could go about trying to get those ordinances changed, or if it's even.
Just to let you know, Mr. Steele reached out to me, and I have looked into it. I talked to Ms. Richards about it, and it's my understanding is we actually do not have an ordinance proclaiming that you can't have a tattoo parlor. There is an ordinance that says that they have to be in certain areas, that it can't be within a certain distance of certain. But I actually contacted Mr. Steele this afternoon and gave him Ms. Richards' phone number and also her email address and asked him to get with her to find out what the rules are. And that would be the first step, is to get a hold of Ms. Richards and go through that process. Okay? And feel free to come back here anytime if you don't get satisfaction.
If I may, Ms. Prince.
Commissioner Russell, may I have permission to speak?
Yes, Mayor.
I just wanted to comment on this particular business. I had also been sort of following the request and also spoke with our police chief, Chief Ramey, and who is familiar with this particular business. And I would like to make a motion that we as the commission direct our city attorney to possibly look at our ordinance and how it can be modified to accommodate this business. One of the things that I would like to point out is that the word tattoo also refers to ladies' eyeliner, makeup, permanent makeup on their faces. There are different things. Tattoo has changed considerably over the last decade. And this particular business, I think, would be beneficial to Lynn Haven. And while there are certain parts of the tattoo business that I would not like to see in our city, I think this particular business would be a great addition, and if our attorney, if we could get a motion to let our attorney look into this and bring it back to our next commission meeting, I think that would be a more productive step for this business, because we certainly want to invite those businesses that are going to help us to be more productive and to grow as a city in the aftermath of the hurricane. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a motion?
If I may, yes.
Yeah.
I'll do the motion, but I just wanted to say that.
Okay, well,
I was just before
let's do the motion second, then you can.
Okay.
Okay, so you're seconding the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Now, is there any discussion with the commission? Go ahead.
I was just going to speak before the mayor spoke. That the permanent makeup is a lot of what this business does too, and that's in demand in the ladies' world. And I personally have been to your barber shop on 231, and I didn't see anything that didn't look like a tattoo parlor. You know, you wouldn't know it, and it's
And if you came to the back, you would be.
yeah, no, I don't have anything done.
In the back, it is
But
upscale too.
and you have good calling. Your you know, the people who cut hair have good clientele, and you know, I would definitely yield to our city attorney who just showed me some stuff. So
Is there any other discussion with the commission?
Mayor Pro Tem, if I could just make it clear that the city does not have an ordinance prohibiting tattoo shops. And I'll do whatever the commission asks, obviously, and I'm in no way trying to slow or inhibit your ability to get what you want done, but I would just point you to 2.04.05. That'll be the basis of what I will start with, because those are the rules that are in play right now.
Mayor Pro Tem, I apologize, but I couldn't hear the comment the attorney made. Maybe just speak more directly into the microphone, please.
Yes, ma'am.
My apologies, Mayor. What I was saying is I just wanted to clarify the city does not prohibit tattoo parlors of any sort. There is under 2.04.05 under the Code of Ordinances references distance, which I think Commissioner Russell had previously mentioned, but I just want to make it real clear that the city does not prohibit tattoo parlors. There are some restrictions, which obviously at the direction of this commission I will look at, review, etc. But I want to make sure that everybody understands the city does not prohibit tattoo establishments.
Commissioner Russell, may I have permission to speak again?
Yes, Mayor.
I just wanted to point out to the city attorney, I certainly understand what the ordinance says, and that's kind of what I was addressing, because my understanding is that this business was very interested in possibly looking at Florida Avenue, and this is something that we're trying to develop in Lynn Haven, our old Main Street, and so that's where I was going with looking at the ordinance, that possibly addressing those distances, because of the fact that this business is more of what we were talking about earlier about the cosmetic, permanent cosmetics and that kind of thing. So I totally understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, and I wasn't trying to get in the way of policy procedure of the board. I just want to make it abundantly clear so there's no confusion. The city of Lynn Haven does not prohibit tattoo parlors.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion with the commission? Yes. Yes, Commissioner Tender.
I just wanted to say, I know where there's an empty building on the corner of 8th and Florida. It's a bit of bad shape, but I think the city has it for sale.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion with the public? Go ahead, sir. If you don't mind, the mic is actually for him to be able to record the meeting. Thank you.
All right, I'm Vince Terrace Calhoun, 905 Colorado. I'm actually counterpart of Miss Carolyn Prince. I've been tattooing for about 10 years. I've been in the military for about 15. Still in, I'm gonna leave, that's why I have a beautiful beard. But I've served 2 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, 2 tours in UAE. And well, my point is, about 50 to 60% of my clientele are military. I know there has been a stigma in the past with tattoo shops and parlors, but I'm here to say that it's just not that way. And I think the code may be outdated. And yes, they're allowed in Lynn Haven, but the fact of like what the mayor said about the footage, and I actually sent the code to her earlier, and I believe what I read was 2,500 feet from churches, schools, 1,500 feet from either one. So, and that's kind of one of our concerns, especially after the hurricane. And it's not really there's not a lot of real estate to choose from. So that's kind of what we're here for. We're trying to get that changed if we can. We're just trying to get the word out. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? There's a motion, a second on the floor. Ms. Gainer, would you please call the question?
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Thank you. Hopefully we can get some things resolved for you. Let's see, moving on. Oh, actually, we're still in public commentary. Is there anybody else who would like to discuss anything? No. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, we've got the consent agenda tonight. Got three sets of meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
Got a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion with the board? Any discussion in the commission? Excuse me, any discussion with the public? City manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to, there's no old business, so we're going to move on to new business. Let's see, it's item 9, approval of resolution 2019-05-283, authorizing the joint participation agreement for the roadside beautification assistance program through DOT for Highway 77 landscaping. And I believe Ms. Gainer has something to say about this. Would you please read the resolution?
A resolution by the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, authorizing the mayor to enter in a roadside beautification assistance program agreement for the landscaping of Highway 77. This usually comes around every couple of years, and of course Hurricane Michael made it come around a little bit faster this year. The roadside in terms of what is on Highway 77. So this resolution goes along with the next item that we have to have with the agreement in order to move forward. And then I will explain to you in the next item what those was entailed in that.
Do we have any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? I guess I should ask for a motion first. I apologize. Like I said, I'm learning here. Is there a motion to approve item 9?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
We've got it. We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Now, is there any discussion with the board? Any discussion with the public? City manager, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Thank you. Item 10, approval of the State of Florida Department of Transportation Roadside Beautification Assistance Joint Participation Agreement. City manager?
Yes. So this agreement actually goes with this resolution. In order for us to work with the Florida Department of Transportation, we put this resolution in place that we have authority from the commission. And this agreement gives us actually $400,000 to beautify the roadside along Highway 77 all the way to 3rd Street where the Bailey Bridge is in the city of Lynn Haven. So that $400,000 will take care of a lot of the landscaping, a lot of things that need to be done within that area, but it does not take care of the actual design of putting, something and putting those things in place. So we will have to pick up the cost for the design of the roadside beautification. But this is a great opportunity for the city of Lynn Haven to beautify Highway 77. And the design part of it, which probably will run about $62,000, much of that will be reimbursed through FEMA because it was destroyed in the hurricane.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, thank you, City Manager. Is there a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion, yeah.
Motion to approve. Sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion with the board?
Yeah, Pomay.
Yes, Commissioner.
you know, it's one of these things. I discussed this with Miss Vicky a couple of weeks ago when we were discussing the project, and you know, $400,000 to work with our roadways. You know, one of the things that went into my deciding factor on this, or thinking about doing this, is just a morale. To be honest with you, the morale, the vision, and seeing that things are being done by your city government. And it's something that's going to be obvious. We know the city government's been working. It's never stopped. It's been a great city government throughout the hurricane. But seeing things happen, seeing things start to get moving, I think it could also help our citizens, you know, move forward a little bit in life as well. And with this being reimbursable, I just don't see a downside. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else on the board?
If I may, this is DOT.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not a grant, right?
It's reimbursable, so we put it out and then they reimbursed us for all of the money. Every cent of it is 100% reimbursable.
Any other discussion? Any discussion from the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. It's passed. Thank you. So moving on to number 11, appointment of a new TPO representative for the city of Lynn Haven in replacement of former Commissioner Rodney Friend. This is something that one of the commissioners would like to take on. We'd love for you to take it on, but we'd need a motion in a second to appoint somebody.
I'd like to make a motion that Pat joins this group for the future, forever.
TPO.
There's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion with the board? Mr. Perno, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, more than happy to do it.
Any discussion?
One thing, that I can consult with Commissioner Friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he is no longer on your board, so you can talk to him all you like. Yes, sir. Is there any discussion with the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. And that passes. Item 12 on the agenda tonight, as I've been informed that the city attorney would like to have it removed. He is still working on that issue with the maintenance claim. So to remove it from the agenda, I'll need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the board? Any discussion with the public? Ms. Gainer, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. And that passes. Moving on to item 13. Approval of the updated grants handbook to meet the federal requirements for the Restore Act grant. I believe the city manager has a report.
Yes. So we start working on the updated handbook right before the storm, and of course the storm hit, and so some of our priorities went to other places. We have finished this grants handbook. Part of the reason why we had to update this grants handbook is because the last time we actually updated the one that we have was 1996. And in that one, it did not include any of the federal guidelines, any of the guidelines for the Restore Act grant, and so we had to update it on two folds. It needed to be updated with the current purchasing policies and also put federal guidelines in it for us to be actually in compliance with the Restore Act.
Thank you, city manager. Is there a motion to pass?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the board? Any discussion in the public? City manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. Passes. Moving on to item 14, discussion and approval to place a stop sign at West 7th Street and Georgia Avenue. I believe Chief Randy has a report about this.
I think in the last meeting, a citizen came forward, and over the last 2 weeks, myself and Kerry Dutton, one of the traffic units, have been over in the area every morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. The traffic count is anywhere between 31 and 49 cars that are coming through there. When traffic gets stopped on 77, they cut immediate down 7th Street to Tennessee to miss all the lights. Some of the numbers that we put up, 30 citations have been issued in 2 weeks, and we're talking 40 plus miles an hour. Every morning between 7:20 and 7:25, there's 3 little kids and a parent that cross the road at Georgia and 7th Street going to Lynnhaven Elementary. So I think this is necessary, kind of the steps you've taken on 5th Street to get the traffic to slow down. I think the stop sign would do that. They would have to come to a stop, and it's almost a midway point.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to pass?
I make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion with the commission? I just want to say that I'm glad this is working. You know, we've had issues, and I know the mayor's had issues with 5th Street, and I'm glad that this is working and we're getting stop signs where the citizens want it. So I'm really happy to see this happening. City Manager, would you please call the roll? Oh, wait a minute, sir. Any discussion with the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll? Oh.
I'd just like to say that it's nice to know that it's backed up by enforcement and a watch, and you have a hard count on people, and it speaks well of reaction.
Thank you. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayor? Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only one getting tongue-tied.
Yeah.
See, item 15, approval of resolution 2019-05-284, adopting the second amendment to the Rails to Trails grant, extending the deadline through October the 1st, 2019. And I believe our city manager has a report.
We extended the grant for this back in June 2018, and things were going on pretty good, and then the storm hit. So we started from June 2018 and extended it to June 2019, And when our storm hit, it kind of put us back in a lot of the areas. But one of the things we're looking at as we look at this grant, and remember, this is the one that's the engineering side, it's not the construction side. The city actually got $268,000 from this grant. All of the grant money has been received except for $8,040 of it. In order for those comments to be loaded in, and then maybe to even come back to us again for any other further comments, and then go back to FDOT, that's going to take probably go beyond the June 2019 deadline, and we still have about $8,000 that we can get reimbursed on it. So it's a mutual agreement between FDOT and the city that we're just going to push it back to October 19th. We may not need that time, but we want to make sure that we have all of the documentation in place to receive the rest of the money.
Thank you, City Manager. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the board?
Yes, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Commissioner.
I just wanted to say that, since I wasn't here on this board during the Rails to Trails when it all kicked off, I just want everybody to know where I stand on it, and I'm a huge proponent of this Rails to Trails. I want to see this in our area. I want to see this in our town. I think it's such a unique idea and such a great idea for our future and for the citizens here of Lynnhaven, and I'm grateful for it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion with the board? Any discussion in the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender? Yes. Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. So that passes. Moving on to item 16. Discussion and approval for the city to commit 10% of the Rails to Trails construction project. I believe our city engineer, Chris Forehand, might have something to say.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and Chris Forehand with Panhandle Engineering. I think Ms. Vicky provided you all a memo that kind of gives you a little bit of history. You know, we have two new commissioners, so I hope that was very informative to you to kind of give you the timeline of when this all started. But we are to the point now where we've completed the plans. They're 99% complete. We're just waiting on final comments from DOT. We've been working really hard trying to get the construction funding. We're hoping we hear something later this summer. Along with that, DOT has asked us to commit some amount of money towards the project. Based on my discussions with them and my experience on other projects similar to this, I think 10% would be a good amount to contribute towards it. So I think that's what you have before you hear. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Is this the project that started a couple of years ago? As far as the rails trails, you've already done the engineering on this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've already been paid for that?
I don't think it's 100%. I think we've had a small amount we held out until the very end.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If I may, the 10%, when will that become due for the city to
I don't believe
pay?
that would be due until the end of the project, because when they reimburse you, they would reimburse you up to that 90%, and then you could pay for the remaining at the very end.
And the 10% is the 350,000, 585.50, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Thank you. Any other discussion with the commission?
So the total amount, the 10% is in the ballpark of $350,000?
Yes, sir.
And I have another question when you're done. How much more do you have coming from the engineering part of this?
I'm not sure. It's just a few $1,000s to finish it out. I don't know the exact amount.
Okay, but you've been paid $283,000 so far.
Pretty close to that, probably.
Okay, thank you.
And this wouldn't be due till the end of the project?
Correct.
What's the life of the project?
You know,
approximately.
If say it take about a year to go through the whole process, to get the funding, get set up, advertise, hire a contractor, go through construction, and then close the project out.
A year?
Yes.
So you're saying in 1 year we're looking at a possible bill of $385,000?
Possibly. If we were to get the funding in the summer, fall time frame.
But isn't this all hinge on the fuel depot, the people who own the property where this is going to start?
Well, as I said in my memo, you will take ownership of that property in August of this year.
Okay.
Per your agreement when they purchased.
Well, he signed that original agreement. Okay, thank you.
Does that include the money that was already, the railroad ties and everything that was already sold? Is that gone back into the project?
I believe that I had heard maybe the city had received their portion of the railroad.
I think he reported on that. Legal has reported on that.
Yes, the city has received and accepted the 50% portion of the recycled railroad area from the development.
So 385. What? Make sure and clarify if we could, Mayor Pro Tem. What are we making a motion on right this moment? Is it to
Commit the 10%.
So it's not to commit to push to look further down. Can I make a motion to?
You can make
Let
a
me ask
motion.
you,
Yes,
when
Commissioner.
does this answer due?
They want this commitment now so they can push for the funding process.
Remember, we are not the only applicants for this money. And so when many of these cities put their applications forward, they are putting in 10, 20% of that. So if we were the ones that decide that we don't want anything there, they are going to be looking at those cities who are committed to making this project go forward.
You know, I think you do have some transportation impact fees that it can come
Yes.
from. It can come from your half-cent sales tax.
Okay, so we've heard the report. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, now then, is there any discussion with the commission? Even though we had some discussion already. Any discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem Russell, may I speak, please?
Of course, Mayor.
I just wanted to say how important I believe it is that we go forward with this at this time. We have been working on this project for many years, and as Craig Forehand just pointed out, that we will be moving into possession of Parcel C, which is the Rails to Trails, in August, and to allow him to continue what he's been doing in the past and to allow us to go forward with this wonderful project. I would hope that the commission would consider going forward. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I concur with you completely. And my only concern is obviously, committing $350,000 when we're hemorrhaging money. But I understand if we don't commit it, we're liable to lose this project completely, and that's not acceptable either. So, but that being said, there has been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on the board? Any discussion in the public? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Rich Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. I hope you indulge me a little time on this. You've gotten a little history out here, but some of the history is incorrect. Most of the history, you say you're going to take over possession of the fuel depot partial C. There's no division of it. It's partial C1 or C2. C3 extends all the way to 231. Okay. You will not take possession of it. The contract between you and Marina Island LLC gives you the lease. It does not give you the possession of the property. The possession of the property goes to Marina LLC, who owns it for 75 years. He has discretion, and in the contract it reads his intent. If you want to follow Marina LLC's intent, good luck. You won't be able to. You won't even be able to find him. I don't understand why this commission and this city did not opt to take up the Crayfish Trail, which was the same trail, free of charge, given to you by the cities, St. Joe, and the people that planned for it for years. Also, had we not meddled in the fuel depot possession and purchase, we would have gotten that property free.
That's not a guarantee, sir, but
Yeah, it could have been.
it could have been, but it also could have been a surplus property and it could have gone to the Coast Guard or someplace else.
And then it could have gone to the restore pieces, which have given us buying property up on 950 acres, which has cost us $4.1 million. My point is this.
Commissioner Russell, may I have permission to speak, please?
Yes, Mayor.
Why do I have to be interrupted?
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, Mayor, if it's okay, let's let him finish his 3 minutes and I'll let you say anything you want, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought he was finished.
He's actually got 1 minute and 3 seconds left.
I passed out a little piece of paper, and it shows you what Rails to Trails people in Washington, D.C. and Tallahassee do for the municipalities. If you align yourself with them free of charge, they can give you ideas, grants, and everything to condition yourself for a beautiful, beautiful Rails to Trails, which goes in alliance with what you were thinking of. Where's the money coming from? The sale of the rails was $56,000. The 50% of it was not really 50%. We received $23,000. That went to the general fund. And anybody in Lynn Haven knows, when anything goes into the general fund, it disappears. So there, the next thing. What I'm suggesting here is.
Mr. Walker, you're coming close to your 3 minutes, so if you would wrap it up, please.
Thank you. My condition is you just didn't listen in the past, and you got yourself now in a bind where you're going to be looking at a very heavy expense. You could have got it for free, and if you would take up Washington, D.C., and they have an office in Tallahassee on Rails to Trails, and contact people that have done this and can do it much better than we can, it would
have been beneficial. Thank you, sir. Mayor, go ahead, please.
Sure. And with great respect for Mr. Walker's viewpoint, I just want to vehemently disagree with about 90% of what he just said. First of all, the last time we had an opportunity to get the fuel depot for no charge was in 1948, when the first acting city manager sort of botched that deal. But that was long before anyone sitting on the board now. And so to address this commission as though we're responsible for that is not factual. The second thing is we have located Andy Bales, who is the proprietor of Marina Island LLC, because this attorney that we have now, Mr. Albritton, was able to procure the money that we were owed when our former attorney was not. It is a parcel C, and we will take ownership, so I would disagree. But I also think that Mr. Walker had some good points about how we could go forward, with Tallahassee and some of the other ideas. But I think that we've been doing a great job so far. I think that Francis Whitcoff was a great leader in starting the Rails to Trails, and I think Commissioner Friend had some great input. But to say that this commission is amiss in anything on this Rails to Trails project, I think is not true, because two members have only been commissioners for 2 weeks. Commissioner Russell and Commissioner Tender have been commissioners for 2 years, and this project was well underway when I became mayor 4 years ago. So I just wanted to correct that, and with all great respect for Mr. Walker and friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any other public discussion? Okay, there's been a motion and a second on the floor. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender? Yes. Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. So that passes. Moving on to item 17. The approval of 42 Hurricane Michael Relief Fund grant applicants. Mayor, your name is there. Would you like to address this issue?
Sure. I would love to speak to this. I just wanted to start by saying that, once again, we are so indebted to Holland and Knight International Law Firm for setting up this trust fund for us, pro bono. Hundreds of hours of work went into it. I would also like to say that at this time, I am still working with several possibilities of large corporations, and although there are naysayers who say it will never happen, there are many naysayers in the past of things that they thought would never happen that have. And I think that we are just on the brink of getting some large donations for this. But with all that said, we have given in excess of $150,000 in private grants to our residents to help them rebuild, those who are most needy. And we have 42 residents that we're about to award $42,000 in $1,000 grants, which they may use in any way they need to help them as they try to rebuild and begin again. So proud of this relief fund, and I'm also very indebted to city staff, how diligently they have worked to make sure that they have selected the most needy out of the group of applicants we have. And just to remind everyone in Lynn Haven that the ultimate goal is to award a grant to every single family in this city, and then to go outward to Southport and some of the unincorporated areas which are contiguous to us. So I would like to make a motion that we approve these 42 relief grant applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the board? Any discussion with the public? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender? Yes. Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. So it passes. Thank you, Mayor, for setting this motion in motion and helping these people.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Item 18, approval to enter into an agreement with the Lynn Haven Rotary to receive a $30,000 grant for trees to be planted within the city of Lynn Haven. City Manager, I believe you have a report.
Yes. We are so happy that the Lynn Haven Rotary Club again thinks about Lynn Haven when it comes to just the progression and the recovery of Hurricane Michael. We have with us today Beverly Neild from the Lynn Haven Rotary Club, and they are giving us in the amount of $30,000 that we will have access to in the next 7 days. And with it, the stipulations are that we definitely go and purchase trees and have those planted throughout the city of Lynn Haven. We can use them for supplies and other things that will help us to build back our community. We are so happy that you thought of us. Thank you so very much. We're going to ask the whole commission if they would come around and take a photo, please.
We actually took the picture before we approved it, so it's kind of. I'm assuming we're going to pass this now. So, all right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion with the board?
I'd just like to say I'm really proud of Lynn Haven Rotary.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. Yeah, thank you again. Let's see, moving on to 19. Approval of a development order, commercial redevelopment of JR's Rib Shack. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. So I think that means that we need to see the city attorney, right?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All those that intend to provide testimony in this hearing, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I would also ask this commission for disclosure of any ex parte communication between the applicant and this commission.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
Mayor?
And I've had none.
Thank you. Ms. Richards?
This is a request for a development order approval to redevelop the JR's Rib Shack restaurant that's located at 2403 Highway 77 and was severely damaged by Hurricane Michael. The applicant wants to change the use of the property from restaurant to a commercial flex space with supporting parking, stormwater management and infrastructure. The current stormwater facilities will meet the requirements of the redevelopment. The redevelopment is actually going to reduce the footprint of the building from 3,640 square feet to 2,520 square feet. However, the overall impervious area is going to increase by 360. I included a rendering of how the building is proposed to look. I don't know if you received that in your packets, and I think that you can all probably see that it's going to be a great improvement to the aesthetics in that area.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. So do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the board?
Yes. So I just want to make sure that I understand. This is another one of those situations where we've approved that they can change, but they have to come back before us before we approve what they're going to put in there.
No, ma'am. This is a development order application. Actually, if they weren't changing the use of the property, they wouldn't have to come before you even with a development order.
Okay.
Because they're not increasing the impervious surface by more than 500 square feet. Well, if it's 500 square feet or more, it has to have a DO. It's actually less, it's 360. However, because they're changing the use from a restaurant to a commercial flex space, like offices or whatever they want to go in there, any kind of commercial, but it won't be a restaurant, then they had to come before you for a development order. So if you approve this tonight, they can start pulling building permits tomorrow. It's been reviewed by city staff, by the engineer. It meets city codes. By the time it gets to you, it's gone through Planning Commission. I think you've had the minutes in your packet that Planning Commission last Tuesday approved it unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other discussion on the board? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, City Manager, will please call the roll.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. I hate to lose the restaurant, but at least the property's getting cleaned up. So, item 20, approval of resolution 2019-05-285, authorizing obtaining the line of credit of $5 million from Hancock Whitney Bank. City Manager, I believe you got a report on this. I'm sorry, yes, if you would please read the resolution.
A resolution of the governing body of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, authorizing obtaining a line of credit from Hancock Whitney Bank, authorizing a credit agreement and a note secured by covenant to budget and appropriate legally available non-ad valorem revenue, providing for repeal or inconsistent provisions, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Mayor Pro Tem, this particular item here was actually brought to the commission back on January 22nd. Previous city manager actually brought it before you and asked for $10 million line of credit. We do not need $10 million line of credit. We've looked at all of our financials and decided that $5 million is more than enough. We know that the FEMA reimbursements are coming in a little bit slower. We know that this is kind of a short term to our long term finances that will be coming in, and this line of credit will help us, as I've said in the synopsis there, pay some of our haulers, some of those invoices that are still lingering out there, have not been paid. And once those are paid, then once the reimbursements come in and the bond money comes in, we'll be able to pay this line of credit off, because we do want it at zero.
Thank you, City Manager. City Manager, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the board?
Commissioner Russell, I do have a comment I'd like to make.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I just wanted to make a comment that Lynn Haven has not yet borrowed money as many other cities have, and this is just a line of credit, so we're not looking at interest rates of any kind right now. We're also pursuing that possible bond issue later, the $30 million bond. But at this time, I'm very proud of where the city is sitting. And I also want to point out that although some of the other cities have received reimbursement from FEMA, those have been fairly small as far as $1 to $2 million. And Lynn Haven is right now about to receive 4.5, and then shortly after that we'll receive another 4.5, or excuse me, 4.9. So I think that we're in very good shape. President Trump has just approved a 90-10 ratio, which we had been expecting for some time, and it is possible that at some point in the future that could even become a 100% reimbursement. And so this line of credit is just another way of assuring the credibility and the solidity of the city, and I'm certainly in favor of it. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any other discussion with the board?
Yes, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Aldridge.
Just want to say with a line of credit, with my mindset, I always get worried, and I know a lot of the public does too, when we talk about bringing on more financial burden, or more debt. But I just want to say I have dealt with this in the past in other areas, and a line of credit is not necessarily a bad word or a bad thing, okay? It depends on how we use it, how we decide to utilize this. So I just want to say, again, it's not a bad or good thing, it's a tool. It depends on how we use this tool, on whether it benefits us or not in the long run. but from my part, I take it seriously when I deal with a line of credit or when I deal with money. And so I want to let everybody know I will be taking strong notes when we get interest rates and what we're looking at. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion? The board? No? Any discussion in the public? No? Okay, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. So, we're at the last item, adjournment. I hope I didn't bore y'all too bad with my first meeting. Thank y'all for being here and have a good night.